We need to talk. I published a video and asked a few questions and got this. Now, lucky for you, some of you answered as private messages, or else I would be really angry right now. And you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Anyway, for some reason nobody answered publicly. Were you afraid to make a mistake or what? Okay, fine. I won't reveal who said what. But I will refer to your answers in one way or another. Oh, and thanks for sharing the videos that are related. I'll put a link to them in the description. Check them out. But not now, afterwards. Now there's still the matter of my questions that need answering. So let's reiterate. I balance things, yada yada yada, different shapes, sizes, materials, and seems to work even when the material is different on one half than the other. But you see, when I do this, one of the fingers on the wooden side moves all the way to the tape, and only then the other one starts to move. This is a clear indication that the friction on the tape side is higher. Now, this may seem counterintuitive because the tape looks so smooth, but actually my finger does tend to stick more on the tape than on the wood. It's also important what I'm touching the tape with. In this case, my skin. But if I use these gloves, the opposite happens. They are made from some fabric that really slides well on this tape. Alright, so one down, two to go. Let's do the last one next because many of you answered very differently to that one. So the question was, what happens when I remove some of the tape? Now, some of you said that the finger on the tape will eventually start to move and catch up to the other one and they will meet at the middle. But others said that the one on the tape will stay put and the finger on the wood will continue to slide past the midpoint and then it will fail. One of you even showed me a video doing this. But let's see what happened to me. Well, that's life. Seems it doesn't work with everything after all. My mistake. See you guys. Wait a minute. Why is he moving his finger up to touch the stick like that? That's not what he's supposed to do. He should just move the fingers together and maybe it will just seesaw back into place. No, I don't trust this. I'm gonna get to the bottom of things and science the stick out of this. I need to work on a level surface, and the only thing I had large enough was this door. What, the handle bothering you? No problemo. Now, you might be wondering why I'm inserting a pen in my electric drill. I want to understand balancing better, so I'm going to do it on this pen at first, and I need the drill to hold it in place. Hey, I'm not a physicist. I'm not gonna buy lab equipment just for this. Okay, now it takes me a few good minutes to find the midpoint. You'll thank me if I speed up this part. It's actually really difficult to balance such a long stick on this small pen. But my finger is not that thick and I could easily balance it. Let's think about this later. But yeah, got it to work. I'll just go and grab my marker so I can make a sign here and have a reference point. It's gonna make things much easier later on if I need to locate the center again or to compare how far from the center we are at a given time. Now, some of you mentioned that errors might come if you don't hold the object perfectly horizontal. So I was wondering if I could actually balance this thing at an angle. It took long, So long that I had to speed it up twice as fast this time. You're welcome. But yeah, it's definitely more difficult like this. I think it's because a small rotation moves more mass from one side to the other. But eventually it worked out. Now, it's very important to mention that I'm using this red rubbery part of the pen. Otherwise, if I move the stick on the plastic side, it just slides off. Friction is important to be able to do this. Now, let me balance it again, and we'll try to have it seesaw. It does that on my finger all the time, but I don't think it will work on this pen. Now, I need to stress that this setup is very unstable. I need to give it the slightest tap, otherwise the stick will just fall immediately. Okay, I think it actually did the trick, but it will take a while. Probably I was actually too gentle, but I think it will work. From up close I can tell that it begins to move more and more. So, seen any good movies lately? This one sure sucked. Okay, finally we're getting somewhere. So, I sure don't see a sign of a seesaw. Now, I found that one reason why it seesaws is a bigger surface. I'll just take my card real quick. I'm taping it to the pen to make a larger surface. Now you can see some seesawing action. This happens because as the stick goes more on one side, it lifts up slightly, and then it's no longer supported in the center of mass, so it needs to fall on the other side, and so on. Now, this can definitely happen on my fingers, especially if I hold them slightly apart. But this doesn't tell the full story, because it happens on one finger as well. And my finger's not that thick. So something else happens here. It turns out that what happens on your finger is actually really complicated. You see, your skin is elastic and moves on top of your bones, muscles, or whatever. When the stick goes down on one side, your skin actually goes along with it, and when it stretches far enough, it begins to push so hard that it moves the stick in the opposite direction. You can better see this if you balance on your forearm, but I just can't get it to show well enough using my phone camera. But it's true, look, I can even shoot this matchstick in this way. This complicates things so much that I don't want to bother with it. So I'm using these tools instead. I made them using these metal things which I didn't use to attach some closet on the wall as I was supposed to. Oops. And these weights. I taped them like this and made a small bridge here where the stick can slide. Boo! I use these napkins because I don't want to scratch my door, table. But also because I don't want anyone to say that I don't do thematic videos. Happy Halloween! Now, does this work? Yup, let's try this again. Once more. One more time. Better I stop this now before YouTube blocks this channel too. So now I'm adding tape to see the difference. I cover more than half the stick at first, so I can easily tear it off later and experiment more. The wooden side starts to move at first, and then the other one. Good. It means that the friction between these tools and the tape is higher than on the wood. Same as with my fingers. It's always good to repeat your experiments and never draw conclusions based on a single event. Yup, things look good so far. I'm now leaving tape on less than half of the stick to see once and for all if we can truly balance anything we want. All our questions will be answered with this one final act. Are you ready? Here goes. Moment of truth. It works. Great. I don't need to apologize to anyone. Yay! Let's try again. And let's flip it so that the tape is on the other tool and make sure that they behave the same. Good. Now, why this works? Well, when the stick is supported close to the center, this thing is holding all of its weight. And the other one is not holding much at all. You can see how gently it falls on this side. So friction is actually low now here, because it's barely even touching it. So it can move freely in any direction. Okay, one last thing before I go. I have to try to balance it at an angle because some of you had concerns about that. Done. I've sure had enough of this. I'm leaving you with this scary dark screen now and with my table patch. Some of you asked me a few times to reveal my video making secrets, and I'll start doing that one by one. I also do this now to avoid anyone speculating about what machine learning model I use to do this and how many doors and tables I trained it with. Some things are just simpler than you'd think.